Hi everyone. Just talking about things to deal with when you have epilepsy here. This time I want to talk a little bit about housing. Now, okay, we just got our disability approved. We've got a caseworker who's helping us with some things. The Medicaid, Medicare is all getting taken care of. We're getting the medications that we need. We're seeing the doctors. Now we're thinking about, okay, I'm not getting as much money as I was making before I became disabled, so how am I going to live? Well, if you're lucky, obviously you're married and you got kids and you've got your own house, but for some of us, that just isn't an option, and now we wonder, okay, what do I do? You might move back in with mom and dad. If you're young, you're still with mom and dad. However, there are quite a few things to consider here. They've got Section 8 housing. That's pretty much what it is a voucher that you would give a landlord that accepts Section 8, and that helps pay for the rent. Or you've got public housing. Most cities have public housing, and that's also a good option here. A lot of people think that, once you get into that, you're going to get into the worst part of the city, whatnot. Maybe true, it may not be here. I don't know, because I never did that, but I know it's an option that's available. You talk with your caseworker, or perhaps you get an advocate. I had an advocate in a way that was my mother-in-law. She knew the law much better than I did, and she knew how to understand the law better than me. I read about it, and I read it, and I read it, and it wasn't very easy to kind of comprehend because of all the legal jargon that was involved in it, and I just didn't know it, so she was able to help me tremendously. I had a house, no problem at all here. Eventually I got divorced, and I didn't want my kids to go without, so I moved out. My first option was to move into a bedroom of a house that a couple owned. That didn't last long here. You got to be a special kind of person to live with complete strangers, and all you have is a bedroom. You'll get nervous about going into the kitchen, looking in the refrigerator. Oh, these are only my things. Next thing you know, you're labeling what's yours. If you can do it and you've got that kind of a personality, hey, rock on. That's a great way. If not, the next step was, for me, I called up my mother and father and I said, hey guys, do you mind if I get back in my own bedroom until I can figure something out? Of course, there's no parent, I don't think, that would really say absolutely not, you can't come back. Of course, they welcomed me back with open arms. I stayed there for about 2 years or so while I try to figure out the best solution for me. At that time, I was in my 30s, and when you're that old, you get used to having your own stuff. You get used to having your own space, and I bought a Johnson quality shed, which is pretty much just a just a regular shed. They're making now where it almost looks like their little houses. That was my little escape area, my little private area here. It was just my workshop, and little by little it turned into a man cave. I put a couch in there. I kind of separated some walls so that all the dust from the chop saws and all that didn't get anywhere. And little by little, I started adding insulation and walls to it. I mean, it came out great. I've got pictures that I'm going to show you of it. And it was the perfect way to live. Luckily, I owned a piece of property with my father right next door to their house. And for 8 years, I was able to live in there. But I would still be in that little shed. The water system was a great water system, which means that, I had no toilet. My toilet pretty much was without sounding too nasty here, it was like how, like a guinea pig would go. You've got a bunch of wood chips, and then you put some coconut husk to get rid of the smell and the moisture and all that, so you don't have any problems at all. It's not a very good topic, and that's all I'm going to talk about, but it can be done. So all I had was a sink, a shower. I was able to wash my clothes over at my mom and dad's. If you're doing fairly well here, you might be able to get a stackable washer and dryer and put that in there. But at first it was just the living room, a little kitchen. I put a refrigerator in there. I had a hot plate. I had a small toaster oven, and that cooked everything I needed. I had no problems at all. Live off the grid, but I still had power, and at that time, DirecTV had the satellite dishes, and I had one in the back, so I had TV. Of course, now it's even easier because everything is off of internet. So all you got to do is just have a Wi-Fi box, and you've got everything you need, or for that matter, even just a phone, and you can do what you need to. But the main thing was it was easy enough because I had a loft, and I was able to put my bed in the loft, and I was able to keep for a while until I decided to make it a bedroom, my little shop. But there are plenty of options. My mother-in-law found a really cheap camper, very cheap, and we brought it behind my parents' house. I was going to fix it up, maybe rent a spot on one of these little campgrounds, but after the first rainstorm, I noticed that there was tons of water inside there, so it would have been a whole new roof, and it became a money pit, so I didn't even attempt to try anything else here. It was a very nice gesture by Helen, but I had it one day and found a fella that would bring it to the to the local dump for me, and he got rid of it. There's plenty of options, so don't ever feel, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Because you know what, if you do have to stay in one place for a year or so until you can figure out the right way, that's what you should do. That's what I did. You'll find you don't need as much room as you think you need. And when I had my little tiny house, I was living in 400 square feet, and I had everything I needed, and I was always comfortable. But anyway, just some ideas, and again, just don't give up. God bless.